always willing. So,
who was that?
oh, I was just saying I'm always willing to do it, but it would be nice
Yeah,
for
maybe,
everybody to
you know,
have a
if
share.
someone likes to wish
Yes.
to, you know, with the chanting, then yeah. Anyone? Okay, then I'll leave it on you. Okay, Elizabeth. Let me share the screen. Share screen. Okay, can you see on the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Oh, so what's wrong? Okay, it's exactly 7 o'clock. Okay, we can start.
All right. The heart of the transcendent perfection of wisdom. The homage to the Bhagavati Paramita. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in Raja, Vulture Mountain, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered an absorption on the categories of phenomena called the perception of the profound. At the same time, noble Avalokitesvara, the Bodhisattva and great being, beheld the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and saw that these 5 aggregates are also empty of nature. Then through the Buddhist power, Venerable Shariputra said to the noble Avalokitesvara, the Bodhisattva and great being, how should a child of noble family who wishes to practice the profound perfection of wisdom train? This is what he said. The noble Avalokitesvara, the Bodhisattva and great being, replied to Venerable Shariputra as follows. O Shariputra, a son of noble family or a daughter of noble family who wishes to practice the profound perfection of wisdom should regard things in this way. They should see the 5 aggregates to be empty of nature. Form is empty. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, sensation, recognition, conditioning factors, consciousness are emptiness. Therefore, Shariputra, all dhammas are emptiness. They're without characteristics, they're unarisen and unceasing. They are not tainted and not untainted. They're not deficient and not complete. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there's no form, no sensation, no recognition, no conditioning factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There's no visible form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no texture, no mental objects. There's no I element up to no mind element, and as far as no mental consciousness element. There's no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance up to no old age and death, no extinction of old age and death. Likewise, there's no suffering, no origin, no sensation, no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since bodhisattvas have no attainment, they rely on and abide by the perfection of wisdom. Since their minds are unobscured, they have no fear. They completely transcend error and reach the ultimate nirvana. All the Buddhas throughout the 3 times fully awakened to unsurpassed, genuine, and complete enlightenment by the means of the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra that equals the unequaled, the mantra that pacifies all suffering, is not false and should thus be understood as true. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed as follows. Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soha. Shariputra, a bodhisattva and great being should train in the profound perfection of wisdom in this way. Therefore, the Blessed One rose from this absorption, and commended Avalokitesvara, the Bodhisattva and great being. Excellent, excellent indeed, O son of noble family. That is how it is. That's just how it is. One should practice a profound perfection of wisdom, just as you've taught, and then even the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed Ones had said this, Venerable Shariputra, the noble Avalokitesvara, the Bodhisattva and great being, together with the whole assembly and the world of gods, human beings, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised the speech of the Blessed One. Thus concludes the Mahayana Sutra of the Blessed Mother, the heart of the transcendent perfection of wisdom.
Thank you. So for the today's opening meditation, we will try to see how our minds are flickering around. It always jumps to one object to another object, right? So we will try to look at how it jump, and then we will just try to recognize rather than judging or having any thought about why it is like acting like that. So this it's just to looking at that, no judgment, like you don't have to you don't have to worry about if you are not being able to follow what it is doing, or the reaction of your own thought. So basically you just have to look at it as if you are a third person, right? Like if you are in a class and then you're observing the class, you're not really like indulged into the lesson, but rather you are looking at the classroom, teacher, and the students, how they are interacting with each other, and then what they are doing. Likewise, right now, we just have to, maybe you might feel like, how can I be like this way? I mean, I don't have two minds, I cannot have two thoughts at a time, right? But it is very much possible, because it is more about stressing on your self-awareness rather than the outwarded mind, because our mind has two aspects: self-aware and outwarded mind. Okay, these two aspects. Until now, we are really on the like the mind that is like looking at outside. We only know that kind of mind. We have I don't know, maybe some of you have tried, but most of us have not tried and stress on the self-aware. Okay, so with this meditation, what we are going to do is we put more stress on the self-aware, and then see how our mind look at the things, and then how rapidly it changes its object. Okay, how rapidly it shifts to one point to another point, and then one time to another time, and then one place to another place. Okay, so that's our task for the following 3 minutes. So please prepare yourself for that. So if you want to drink water before that, please drink it, and then if you want to sleep for a few seconds, please do so. Okay, so let me set up the time. Okay, so if you're ready, so we'll start. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you. So in that way, if we are able to do it regularly, then what happens is, we understand how uh, our mind is like impermanence. It always changes, and it constantly changes, and it has no really firm ground to dwell. So the benefit of understanding this kind of mental state is that then we will start to have, to reduce the grasping and the clinging to one thing. So if like it can only stay for like moment, and then if you started to catch the moment, then you will understand. I don't think you will have any difficulty to avoid grasping and clinging, and especially expecting things from others or from yourself or anyone. So that's what it will help, and then it will also help to understand even the nature of the mind itself, the clarity and vividness and luminosity that we talk about. So if we are able to see that luminosity even for a glimpse every day, then there's really good chances for us to um, uh, uh, it's not just a good chances, but it's about, you know, visiting visiting a Buddha for a glimpse, for a short period of time. So that that moment that you are seeing the vividness and then awareness of the awareness and the luminosity of the mind, that means you have seen the Buddha's face directly, not in image or not in statue, not in Bodh Gaya, but rather within your own discursive thought and, you know, the mind, that the gross thinking that we have. So Buddha is within it, and then we have to find that Buddha. And so this is how we really try to see the Buddha. And you will find lots of also difficulties to trace and then to keep looking at what is it doing. So maybe if you are a beginner, then you will you'll be able to see and look at the thought for 1 to 3 seconds, and then you lost the trace. And then maybe like few like 50 seconds later, then you again, oh, I'm lost. At that time you have to come back. Okay, so as the when you have this thought, oh, I'm lost, you know, I've lost my trace, or I've lost my awareness, then that moment is really important for you, because that moment is that you are recognizing that you are distracted, because until now we think that we are so focused. Right. So one time you realize, second time you realize, third time you realize, and then first maybe it will take you for more longer time to realize that you are distracted. And then the more you do, you know, the more you understand that you are distracted. Like then you will find that, oh, my meditation is not getting really improved, because in the beginning I was not, you know, I was quite focused, and then I was able to focus on the mind, of being aware of what I'm doing. But right now I'm distracting more. You might feel in that way, but it is completely wrong, I would say. The more you are you can focus, you are able to focus, the more you understand that the distraction, you will understand the distraction. You are being distracted. So that is a good sign. If you are you know, if you find like in 5 seconds, if you find that, oh, I have distracted 3 times, that's good. If you only find that, oh, I distracted, like, you know, 2 times or 1 times, it doesn't mean you know, your meditation went well, because you might have distracted for 20 times, but you are only recognizing 1 time, right? So 1 time, because although, you know, it seems 1 second is really short time, but if we divided that second into 20 pieces, then it's, you know, quite a long time, right? In that process, you might have lost the focus. So now that's why, you know, the more you realize that you're distracting, that's good sign. And this is the one of the biggest beginning biggest experience of meditation. This is one of the biggest experience of the meditation, and this is what we should be. We should have that experience, and we shouldn't be really bothered about that kind of experience. Most of the time, we are irritated if we find that we are distracted, right? But many great master has said that, especially from the Nyingma and Kaju, they have said that, if you are able to find that you are distracted, that's a good sign. That's a good sign of your meditation. Okay, so that's about the the opening meditation. Now, let's move on to the text. Okay. So, can you see the screen? Good. Okay. Okay, so we are still dealing with the emptiness of the mind, and then here, until now, Shandarakshita has argued with Vaibhashika, Sautantrika, right? So Tantrika's way of explaining and the understanding of the mind, and what Shandarakshita tried to say here and prove here is that there is no mind. There is either one or collective or many. There's no mind, which is like partless singularity, and there's no mind which is a collective of something, right? So this is what Shandarakshita is trying to prove here. And then both the Vaibhashika and Sautantrika is trying to prove that there is a mind which is partless, which is partless, and that is like, mind has no shape and mind has no color, but we can scale them into the time frame. So, and then the smallest part of the time frame is the moment, right? One moment. So after that, you cannot really break it down. So that's why that one moment mind is truly exist, and it is partless. So this is what Vaibhashika and both Sautantrika is saying here. And also, not only these two schools, but there are another non-Buddhist school who believe in the truly existent mind, and even the Mahayana school, the Chittamadhyana school, believe that the mind is truly existent. That that one moment mind, single moment mind. Okay, so both the non-Buddhist school and Chittamadhyana school will be also dealt in the following verses that we are going to cover today. Okay. So we have left one of the theory where theory of Sautantrika, who believe that if there is a multiple information outside there, then that multiple information will send a reflection to your mind, and then the mind will have all those multiple information at the same time, and then that mind is like multiple minds at the time, right? Multiple minds at a time. Let's say if there is like multiple colors, like 10 different colors in a painting, then when you see that painting, you will have all the information in your mind at a time. in your eye consciousness, let's say, right? And then that eye consciousness is, although the eye consciousness has no form and color and all those by itself, but when the reflection is sent into that eye consciousness, then eye consciousness turns or modified into that kind of information that it is perceiving, as if it is like the very flexible mirror that can transform into the shape and size and color of the information, or taste, or any sound, anything, okay. So that's how the third theories talks about, okay. So here now Chandarakshita will again try to argue with this theory, and it says 대단한 karla so namban na so shebayang thoma udan thadibe migban na so nidu jurus. So here Chandarakshita again saying, if that is the case, then your mind is multiple, right? Multiple, because every individual information that you have received, and then you have your mind is now modified into that similar like that information. So then since, let's say, if you have 10 information at a time, then you will have like 10 different minds at a time at that point, right? 10 different minds at that point, which means that your mind is now not a one, because here what Sautandrika is trying to say is that one mind is you cannot really divide that into different section. That is why it's partless. And they also believe that the mind cannot be divided through the colors and shapes and all those the outside looks. But ironically, what they say is, when the outside phenomena send a reflection, then mind turns into that kind of information. So there is irony and conflict, and that is why Chandarakshita is saying, if the mind turns and modified into the information, then when the mind see like this square white color, which is in the square, then that mind will have the four corners, right? And then the upper right corner has another, like, east, west, north, south. And then if you take that east part, and then it will also have another parts, and then you will end up like having lots and lots of parts, but you will not get a single part that cannot be divided, right? You will not find a single information that cannot be divided into pieces, other smaller pieces. Meaning, you will not find one single thing. And then if you have no one single thing, then how can you say it is a collective of many singles, right? So collective or multiple meaning, the means you have many single things together, right? So that is why Chandarakshita say the mind is neither single nor the multiple. Any comments on that? Okay, so move on. Dulcin dani karla so chibu dani chame ba sheba kana nanjurba dagi rab to tsurome. So again, Chandarakshita is saying, if the opponent said that no, there's the object that cannot be, there's only one, and then it cannot be divided. Then Chandarakshita is saying, let's say you see a multiple color together where it includes the white color as well, and then you would say that, oh, that white color is a one information, right? That white color is a one information among like many colors. That white is only one information. You might say that, and you might argue that. But Chandarakshita is saying that white color is not just a one information. It exists many what do you call the smaller information within that small white, right? It has many parts. So all the parts should be all the parts should send a reflection to your mind, and then mind has to be turn into that kind of information, which means even a single white can send so many information all together. So in that way, your mind can be, could not be a single or multiple as well. Okay. And then stanza number 34, it says, Namshengai kamnamni salamikba salamikben nambai semdang semjung mikbani tuba shabachibai. So here Chandarakshita talks about two types of mind, okay? Consciousness. There's the sense consciousness and then mental consciousness. So sense consciousness are the consciousness such as the hearing, seeing, and touching, feeling means the body, like when you touch, right? And then taste. So these are the sensorial consciousness. The sensorial consciousness is the result of the 5 organs and then 5 objects. Okay, so when 5 objects such as the form, sound, and then taste, these are okay, let's not talk about all of them, but just talk about a form. Let's say when you have this mask in front of you, and then your eye faculty is not damaged, and then your mental state is okay. Your mental state is okay. You are not so much in grief, or you are not so much distracted, or you are not so much into meditation, but your mind is kind of sober. And then when these 3 things come together, then we call it causes and conditions are gathered in order to have the eye consciousness of seeing this mask. So three conditions, right? The mask, object, and then eye faculty, and then mental consciousness, the sober mental consciousness, right? So when these 3 things comes together, in the first moment, they will come together, and then in the second moment, what happens is you will have the eye consciousness of seeing this mask. Okay, so why I'm talking about this? Also, okay, and this is called the sense consciousness, the sense consciousness, and same causes and conditions apply to the hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And as we discussed before in the last session yesterday, I think, and with that the sense consciousness, you will have another type of consciousness, which is mental consciousness, coexist, the non-conceptual mental consciousness, and that mental consciousness act like very much like the sense consciousness, but it is not sense consciousness. Okay, it's not the sense consciousness, and that is the mental consciousness. And many of even the Buddhist philosopher and masters have doubt that, you know, maybe that kind of mental consciousness is really difficult to see it. And then how do we know? Then they said, we know because Buddha has talk about that kind of mental consciousness, which coexists with the sense consciousness, and act like the sense consciousness, and which is non-conceptual mind. So when you see this mask, then it's not just your eye is seeing it. Together with your eye consciousness, you have a mind consciousness. You have the mental consciousness, which is very similar and resemble the eye consciousness. Okay, so with the help of that mental consciousness, then you will have the memory of the mask. Without that mental, non-conceptual mental consciousness, you will not remember the you will not remember the mask. You will not remember the mask. Okay, so that's the sense consciousness and then mental consciousness. So most of the time, when we talk about the mental consciousness, we tend to think about a thought, right? Thought. But for the mental consciousness, it has both thought and non-conceptual mental consciousness. And especially in the Buddhism, when we talk about the meditation of Vipassana and Shamatha meditation, when our meditations get better and better, then it gets refined. When we say refined, it means the intensity and then degree of the thought process will decrease. And then the more degree of the thought process is decreased, the more clarity you gain. Okay, so in that way, when you are completely able to seize the intensity of the thought process, then we will be able to see the full clarity of the mind, and then that's called the awareness, and that's called the wisdom, and that's called the vipassana. So nowadays, there's many centers who talk about the four mindfulness, and then they only do the breathing meditation, and we just really not even, I don't know how much whether even it is included in the shamatha or not, but now they are giving the name of vipassana, right? Giving the name. Now the vipassana name has really decreased the value of what the vipassana is now, and it is because the way the name is utilized, and then the way the name is used for what do you call, business, let's say. Right. Okay, so here again, both the sense consciousness and then mental consciousness, from the Tantrika's standpoint, and then their theory, they talk about this true consciousness, two type of consciousness, right? The sense consciousness and then mental consciousness. So here Shantarakshita is saying, looking at both these consciousness that you are talking about, it cannot be exist truly, neither in the form of singularity nor in the form of multiple. Because when we talk about the sense consciousness and then mental consciousness that coexist with the sense consciousness, they have to be deal with, they have to be in the they have to be modified modified in the form of the information that they gathered. So when we look at that information, then you will not find a single piece of information. All the information are embedded with many smaller information within it. So that's why you cannot say it is a one, right? So there's no so-called one information at all. So if there's no one information at all, then how can you say that mind is one? Because because it consists and it contains the many information. So even you cannot say it's a many information because you have not found the one. Right? So that's what that's how Shantarakshita said, no consciousness that is looking outwardly. And then maybe so Tantrika would argue that, okay, so I can understand that, but we have mental consciousness that is not dealing with the outer phenomena, but rather like okay, space, thinking about a space, let's say space, and then the space is, you cannot really divide the space. How would you divide the space? And right, how would you divide the space? So this will deal in the upcoming stanzas. Okay, so we will talk there. We will discuss there in detail. Okay. Okay, so that was the that was about like arguing and debating with the two school of Buddhism, the Vaibhashika and Sautantrika. Okay, so now moving on to the next one, which is which Shantarakshita bring another school, the non-Buddhist school, non-Buddhist four school. Okay, so those four school are I don't think you have to like remember all of these names, but just to familiarize. So these are the first two are the Jainism and Mimamsaka, and then Charvaka, Samkhya, and Vedanta. So Jainism and Mimamsaka, although the Jainism and the Mimamsaka is complete two different two different theory and then the religion in India, but they have very similar idea of the way they define the consciousness and cognitions. That's why they put together here. Okay. Yeah, although in the commentary of the Mipham Rinpoche, it is their philosophy is elaborately like mentioned. We will not go through all those their philosophy, because I don't know, like honestly I don't know, I don't know much about those philosophy. I have never studied, but I just studied what is mentioned here, and then I don't think this is full information here. So we will not go through all of them, but we will just pick what is needed here in this text. in order to relate ourselves with the argument that Chandarakshita is putting forward. Okay. So Chishung Namlang Namchini Chibu Nawal Mijude Yunden Lasun Dembai Zela Super Michiro. So this stanza is just a general argument to refute the theory of mind that is presented in the non-Buddhist school. So basically, Chandarakshita is saying it doesn't matter. Like it is beautifully said in the Mipham Rinpoche's commentary, where Mipham Rinpoche said that so the thought has no limit. Thought has no limit, and then as long as there is no limitation of the thought, there is also no limit of wrong view. So we cannot say that this is the only wrong view that we have in our world, right? So you cannot really deal with every individual wrong view, but maybe you can classify in like, okay, so this is the wrong view of Eastern, this is the wrong view of Western, this is the wrong view of Northeast and things like that. But it doesn't really talks about the specific wrong view, right? It is just a vague generalization and then categorize it into the different group, putting into a group. So here, like Mipham Rinpoche said, what Chandarakshita has done is that he chose these 4 different schools, and then then he just stopped there by thinking that not all individual. So basically, if we are able to deal with this major wrong view, then we can deal. The others will be dealt at the same time altogether. Okay. So the first one where the Mimamsaka and then Jainism theory of mind is presented and then argue with their theory is as follow. Nubusi dani tarang ngubu kunchi tawala telazimbe semjani jigbungo nang mere. So here they talk about subject and then object. In the Mimamsaka and then Jainism's doctrine, they talk about 2 things: subject and then object. And then when it comes to talk about this object, the outside phenomena or something that is to be perceived, then they say there's only 2 things that we perceive. Either it's a general or an individual. Very, very simple, right? We can accept that general and then individual. So, and then although we say general and then individual, we divide that things into 2 things, but they are the same things. They say they are same things. When we say human beings, so that's general. And when we say, okay, American, Canada, and Nepal and Tibet, then we divide it and we talk about the individual, right? But what they say is, although we say American or Canadian, we are talking about the human beings. We are not really going off from the human being, but we are talking about the human being. So basically, it's the same. So everything is same. Everything is one. Good idea, isn't it? So whether you talk about your hand, leg, or like head or toe, you are talking about your body, right? It's You are not really going off from your body. It's your body. It's the same. Likewise, when we perceive things, there's two ways to perceive those objects: general and then individual. It doesn't matter whether you perceive as a general, or you perceive it as an individual or specific information. Both are same. So if I have done like if my mind is thinking about human beings, and then so this is one way of thinking, right? And then another way of thinking is the thinking of different types of human being, let's say, right? Human beings. And then that, although that two thoughts seems contradicting, and then it doesn't match, it doesn't have so much similarity, but they say it's the same. They are thinking about same thing. That's the one mind, only one mind. So that one mind is truly exist, and that one object is truly exist. So here, Chandarakchita, so in order to refute that kind of argument, then Chandarakchita said, if these are the same, then how can you differentiate the same things? How can you differentiate? So basically, they are the one who believe that this is both one and two. So it is both the black and white, right? So when you say this is both the multiple and then single, you are really contradicting yourself by saying the single is multiple and multiple is single, right? So here Chandarakchita is saying that is the weird idea that to have two conflict and then having the two conflict and then saying it's a one. It's a one. So then you and your mother would become one, and then your father and your mother would become one. So so this here Chandarakchita didn't really go so further, but he just said it's impossible to say that it is a single, but you can divide it into many pieces. So if you can divide this into many pieces, then you cannot say it's a one. You cannot say it's a one, right? So it's a multiple. And if you say multiple, then you have to find a one. Okay. And then the next one is the theory of Charvaka. Sala soba dubala yuda ombo kunjoba sui sudu thi lugla yang ngoba chikdam thunjuk means. So in Charvaka is the one of the Indian Indian religion or philosophy where they don't believe in the next life and then previous life. And there are many multiple stories about why they don't believe in that, why in this religion they don't believe in the next life and previous life, because most of the Hindus philosophy, they tend to believe in the they tend to believe in the previous life and then life after death, right? But this one is very particular religion that they don't believe in the next and previous life. And it is there are two story where in one story they said that there used to be a really good a very scholar father who has a beautiful daughter, and then he fall in love with his own daughter, and then in order to exploit his own daughter, then he has written a book where he presents the theory of, you have only one life. Enjoy it, right? So, and then he was able to convince his daughter, and then it is believed to married with his own daughter, and then later this philosophy become popular in some parts of India, which is this one. And then there's another story where it talks about the war between the god and demigod. So gods are more humble and gods are more compassionate. They didn't care so much about the war, and then they just leave the battle, and then they were about to the god were about to defeated by the demigod. And then there's a one god called Gawapa Mimams. So he wrote a book where it says, where it talks about only the present life. And then and the purpose of writing this theory is to fight back with the demigod, to bring the other god into the battle, and then defeat the demigod. So in that way, so this theory is started from that. So this is true story of how this theory come to exist, or this religion come to exist. Okay, Mimamsa. Charvaka. Okay, so they believe that everything, your mind, your feeling, everything is just a energy of the five elements. They are the energy that is coming from that is produced by five elements. So when the five element loses their structure, and then loses their energy, loses their what you call the magnetic field, and then condense, then you started to lose the energy, and then the energy like fade away. So this is how your life end. And then when your life end, it means the five elements like deconstruct, and then it loses the energy. So basically the mind is just an energy, or five element, right? Five element. And then that mind, when we look at when we perceive something through our mind, we are looking at the five element, not other than the five element. The example of the five element. So that's how they describe the mind. Okay, so here again, Chandarakshita is saying that, okay, so if that's the case, then your whatever you call it, like the energy or projection of the five elements or mind. But when you talk about the way it perceives the things, then they said that everything is caused and conditioned by five elements. Then it has to be if mind perceives something, it should be something to do with the five elements, which is not a one, right? Which cannot be a one, which is supposedly to be five at least, right? Five elements. And then even if you take the earth element, then even that earth element has different parts. So in that way, your mind or energy is that's perceiving the object is not the one. It's multiple, and as soon as it is, as long as it's multiple, then you have to find a one where you will not find one. Okay. So the next one is the theory of the Samkhya, and the Samkhya is considered to be one of the best theory among the non-Buddhist theory, because it is believed that the theory is very similar to the Chittamatrin's doctrine. Okay, so although they give different names and then slightly different definition for how the samsara is come to exist, and then how the nirvana is being how nirvana is gained. They have slightly different names and different way of explaining it, but it's very similar to it's believed to be very similar to the Chittamatrin's doctrine. Especially the Chittamatrin has two types. The Chittamatrin who believes in maybe we will discuss in that in the next section, maybe in the next week, surely in next week. Okay, so two types of Chittamatrin, and then one of them is very similar, have very similar idea of the the theory itself is very similar, and that's why it is believed to be really like constructive philosophy of non-Buddhism. Okay, non-Buddhism. So just to give you a brief introduction of their theory, so they believe that so there are like a creator and then observer. So the observer is the self. Self, okay, self, and then the creator is the creator do not observe, and then creator do not experience it, it just create, and then observer do not create, but it just observe, and then it just like indulge into that creation. So the creator is believed to be believed to be like constituted by three criteria or three constituents. They call it Raja, Tama, and Sattva. Basically, these are three poison. These are three poison. Desire, attachment, desire, hatred, and then ignorance. So when these three poisons are in balance, and there's no samsara, it's just the so there's no samsara because there's nothing to be observed for the observer, because there's no creation, right? There's no creation. As soon as there's some fluctuation among the three poison, like if something goes down and something goes up, then it becomes imbalanced. At that point, it started to create something, and then the creator is trying to distract the observer. Basically, the creator is trying to distract the observer. Okay, so so now if you have some idea of the what does the Chittamatrin's doctrines talk about, then you will understand. why it is very similar to the Chittamata's doctrine. We talk about in the Chittamata's doctrine, we talk about the alaya and then sixth consciousness. So alaya is the storage of the information. Who, when the alaya is moved, or it activate, then it started to create things, right? So he is the creator. And then within the alaya, it has the quality of being aware, right? Quality of being aware. So basically, the alaya has two qualities: to create something and then to be aware of that, right? To be aware of that and then to create. So, being like the residue of the past karma is very similar to the creator that they talk about, like three constituent, right? Three poison. And the awareness is very similar to what they talk about the observer. Right now we can relate this with the Chittamadans, right? So that is why even when Chittamadan say that how do you become like enlightened? How do you become enlightened? Then Chittamadan will say, when you are able to destroy all the karmic residue that is within the alaya, and then alaya is free from the karmic residue, and then it stop creating things, then you become the enlightened, right? Likewise, the Samkhya say that when the observer understand that, oh, this three constituent, so-called, the creator is distracting me by creating things, and then he realized by meditation, and then when he realized that the creator is exploiting and then distracting him, then that creator would get embarrassed and then started to put everything into itself, and then it stopped creating. So that, and then what happened is now only the creator and observer left alone, and then they will not bother each other. So that is called the nirvana for them. Okay, so anyway, so this is just an introduction of the Samkhya. And then, so basically, here what Shantarakshita has present is everything is in according to the Samkhya school, everything is created of three things, like a three constituent, right? So when you look at something, even if it is a one information or one thing, it consists three criteria: sattva, tamma, and raga, which is three poison, right? So when a mind perceives that things, mind should perceive that three things. And then even the one, if you take one of them, and then that one is also consist of three, again, similar constituents. So in that way, it go further and further, and you will not find the one single information. So the logic to refute and then to neglect the the opposition's argument is very much similar to applied very much one type of argument, but even though one argument can defeat all those different types of theories of the mind. Okay. Okay, what's the time? Okay, we have more time. Now moving on to the next, where now they said, okay, so now this is the rebuttal from rebuttal argument from the Samkhya, okay, where they said, although like there are three information on the object level, objectively there's three three information, but there are difference in density or degree. Like if you paint white and blue together, maybe if you put more white, then it looks more white, and then if you put more blue, then it will look more blue than white, right? So, and it is because of the density of the two object, right? So if likewise, when you look at when you look at the three thing, like one three sorry, when you look at the object, although that object is consists of three information, but you will see only that information which has a more degree, percentage wise. Let's say if there is three things, then you will only see one information that is above the 30 like 34 percentage, let's say above 34 percentage. If they have like equal percentage 33.33, then you will not see any of them. But only when you the percentage is not equal, and then there's imbalance between the percentage, then the more the higher percentage object will be reflected in your mind. So if so this is how now Samkhya is really trying to defend their theory. Okay, so so here now Shantarakshita is saying, if that is the case, then you the thing that you perceive and then the thing that objectively exists are not matching, because in your mind, when you perceive in the information, it's only one, but in reality it's a three. So you cannot say you have perceived that information, right? So so that rebuttal cannot defend your theory. Okay, ngobo namsumla teni kalde namjikde didam mite nanako teni tejin chitados. Okay, so that is the stanza number, which one? Stanza number 39. And then stanza number 40, chirul yulnam meparyang naso nangla tabate chikjar chidar rimjungwe namche rongwa shinduka. So now this is one of the Vedic Vedanta. Vedanta philosophy is really vast and really difficult to differentiate from the Buddhist philosophy. Really difficult, especially nowadays. When Shantarakshita was in Tibet, and then he found out that Kamalashila has, what is that? Oh, I think the Kamalashila, when Kamalashila was in Tibet, and then he found out that one of his teacher, I think one of his student or teacher, or like they were student and teacher, both like sometimes he become teacher and sometimes the other one become teacher and student. So when he found out that that guys went into parinirvana, and then he said, now in India there's no one who can differentiate between the non-Buddhist teaching and the Buddhist teaching. I think he was referring to the Vedantic school and then Buddhism school, because Vedantic school has really vast and profound very similar understanding of the Buddhist philosophy, and then it's really difficult to, if you especially like Shiva Tantra and those things, they have very similar idea of, when they also all talk about the emptiness and all those things. It's difficult to differentiate how, but luckily, what amazed me is, although they talk about the emptiness and all those things, but they have not really the format of, they don't have really vast teaching on the how the emptiness is being established through the reasoning. This is something unique, I think, for the Buddhism, because in Buddhism we have, we talk about the emptiness, and then we have the way to establish the emptiness through the format, and then that format, the reason, giving a logic, and then that logic as a really good format, right? Really good format. But yeah, this much I can say about, because I don't want to like really give misinformation anyway. So chirol yun nam me par yang na chun nam ta ba te chikcha chita rim jungwe namche rongwa shinduka. So basically it talks about self that is pervasive and resonant to everything, and that self is the mind, the pure mind. That's it, the pure mind. The pure mind is like a space, every one of us, sometimes they call it Brahma, and that pure mind, all of us has that pure mind, and then all of us, the pure mind that we have individually, although it seems really like different from each other, it's not the different. It makes different because the container is different. Like you have a space in a vase or vase. I don't know how do you say, like in America, vase or vase? Vase. Okay. Then okay. If you have a vase and if you have a bowl, then you in both container you have space, right? So how would you differentiate the space between them? Because of the container, right? When the container is destroyed, then what happened? It becomes, now you cannot really differentiate between that space that you used to differentiate when these two containers were there. Likewise, everybody has that pure self or Brahman, and then that Brahman or self or the mind is only divided or segregated and classified into different individual beings just due to our container body. But when we lose the bodies and everything, then it becomes the same. It becomes one with the bigger self or bigger Brahman. So that's how they they describe the mind. And then Chandarakshita said, okay, so if that is the case, then you talk about that self as a permanent, right? You talk about that self as a permanent, and you talk about that mind as a permanent. But as far as I'm concerned, all the mind that we have is really impermanent. So how would you define that? How would you explain that? But I think they have, this argument will not stop here, because they will defend by saying this is just a temporary, it is the perception of the mind being impermanence is just a temporary. It's just a it's just seemingly impermanent, but in a reality it's a one, and then it's a one, and it's a permanent eternity. Like when you have a vase in your hand, it looks like the space in the vase is moving when you carry the vase, but it doesn't it doesn't mean that space is moving to somewhere else. In reality, although it seems it's moving, but it's not moving the space. Likewise, although the mind that we have seem to be impermanence, but it is in reality, it's a permanent. Now, if you really ask, so what's that mind to those guys, then they will reach, and then they will get to very similar idea of Buddha nature. Again, very similar, very similar understanding of the Buddha nature, and I'm afraid that I cannot really differentiate what they are talking about and then the Buddha nature that we talk about. Okay, so that's why I'll just stop here. And then, so now these are three stanzas that we're going to cover, and these are the summary of the stanza that we have covered until now. Okay, so in this 41st stanza, it says, "Khala soba sheba." Oh, now the "Khala soba sheba the mingzam to ne nawanam." So we talk about a mind that perceives the space, right? So when you think about a space, do you really think about only one information or what? Because there's no many space, right? The space is only one, right? Then here Shandarakchita said, when you think about the space, although you may be thinking that you are thinking about the space, but you are not really thinking about the space, but you're just thinking about the name of the space. The name of the space. You are just, thinking about the name of the space rather than the space. So when you think about a name, then the name is a sound, structure of a sound. So it is just a structure of a sound, and then that sound has many parts, meaning that even when you are thinking about the space, time, or eternity, then you are thinking about a name, and then that name is associated with the sound, and that sound has many parts, which ultimately become now what it becomes is you are thinking about thinking about something that has many fractions, and then many what you call portions within that stratification, right? Stratification within, there's many different parts within one single things, right? So yeah, maybe I don't know how you perceive how you understand when you say name, but for in the in Buddhist world, let's say, we talk about the name, word, and like the alphabet and those things. And when we say when you say A, right? A, B, C, D. Is that a sound, or more than sound?
More than a sound.
Can you tell me more, like on?
Well, there's the conceptualization, there's the label, there's the motive to attach to that. You have to create that. There's a
So okay. So so when you think about that A, what does come into your mind? That shape, or the shape of the A, or what, or sound, or name, or what?
all of that.
Like that.
And
A.
even, yeah, and even how it's used and how you connect it to other letters to create other words. It just balloons.
Okay. So then when you say space, then what comes in your mind?
No obstruction.
Sorry?
No obstruction.
No obstruction. So this is now related with the obstruction, right? Like deny the what do you call resistance of. Okay, anyway, so not obstruction. So here I think in when you talk about the conceptual mind, it is explained in the epistemology. I think we call it sema. Is it translated epistemology? Anyone of you know? How do you translate the thema?
I mean,
Logic?
etymology.
No, not the etymology.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not the etymology. Okay, Anthony, are you there? If you can help me.
I think that's correct. Epistemology.
Yeah, epistemology.
Yes, so, it's epistemology.
Okay, epistemology. Okay, good. Thank you. So in epistemology, it is thoroughly discussed, like first we call it Yige, then Ming was Yige, Sig, Ming, and then Juja, Sig, Ming. So Yige is like A, or A, and then Sig is like a apple, and then Yige. No, not like apple. Maybe Sig is like N, and like that, and then Ming is an apple, and then Yigi Ming Sig. Then sentence, it comes sentence. So every all of them are believed to be not other than sound in the epistemology sense. And epistemology is very much based on the doctrine of Swatantrika. And when it comes to the Chittamatan's understanding of how this, like A, N, and then apple, and this is an apple. So this process, the way it's described is not the similar to the Swatantrika and then epistemologist format. And they talk about more of like mental conception. it is a, something that you create in your mind. Okay, more in mind. But here, when Chandarakshita, Chandarakshita argue and saying that when you think about a space, then you are thinking about two things. You are really like mixing two things. Means you hear a sound called space. You hear a sound called space, and then that's you have that idea of the sound. I don't know whether the sound has shape or not, but they have the, what do you call that, wave, right? Wave. That sound has wave. So you have that wave in your mind, although it's really clear, but you have that in your mind, and then you mix that with the with the meaning or the object, which is non-resistance or non-abstract. So the name and then meaning, now you you mingle or integrate the name and then meaning together. So when I say Elizabeth, Elizabeth is a name, right? That we created by us, by our thought. And then when someone label it to that beautiful woman, then we like really integrate the name Elizabeth and then the person. Likewise, when we say space, and then we have the the name and then the meaning, and then we integrate. So basically here Chandarakshita is saying, so since you have integrated the name and then the meaning together, it's not one information. Not in one information. So now it becomes two, right? At least two. So when since you have the two information, then the mind cannot be one, because it is carrying two information. Now you have to divide that mind into two, right? So basically, Chandarakshita is saying, there's no way that you think only about one information. Okay, so that's the one. And then the 42nd is Namjin Naso Minangwa Gashi Yubar Shana Yang Ninja Yanda Shamirung Sini Chela Nutong Chiris Namshin Naso Minangwe Gashi Yubar Shana Yang Ninja Yanda Shamirung Sini Chela. I think this is the same. So until now, Chandarakshita is talking from the subjective or the from the mind perspective. Now Chandarakshita is talking about more of the from the object point of view. Okay, so whether we talk from the mind's perspective, or stressing the mind or the object, you will not find a single thing that that contains only one information. It cannot have, it is impossible to have there's no object that is no diversity diversity informations, right? So the last one, the conclusion. That is why when you perceive something, so mind has the many information. So when you have the many information, mind cannot be one. So, and even if you pick one information out of that information also has many information inside. So you go and go and go, and then at the end you will lose the mind. And if you are able to, if you lost the mind, that's good. If you still find the mind, you have to investigate more. Okay, so as long as you find something, then there's more to be investigated. There's more cases. If you really find nothing, and then if you lost, and then even you lost the analytical mind self, then you solve the case. And the case is urgent for the today. Okay, that's it for today. We have what's that in chat? Okay, so 41 is
That was a
right.
misprint.
I'll just
It should be apostrophe TIS and not this.
oh yeah,
Tis.
this
In other
I think
words, it is.
it is I think okay. So have I missed that? Have I missed to read that or what?
I think you read it as this.
Okay, anyway, okay, sorry.
It's quite a different meaning.
This is I don't know, yeah, sorry. I thought I had corrected this, but I think I corrected in another template. I don't know. Anyway, so if you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, we will do the dedication.
I do have a questions, but it might be long and it's kind of late.
Okay, so maybe we can have patience for 1 minute. Okay.
So I should ask my question?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, this is not related so much to this 5 Indian school. You
Okay.
mentioned just now about how when the conceptual mind subsided, then the minds become clearer and clearer, and eventually something about us being able to see the true nature of our mind and Buddha within us. So if that is the process, and that is called vipassana and wisdom. So if that is the process, why do we even bother to study? We should just sit and try to let our conceptual mind quiet down, and then we'll see the Buddha within us.
Very good idea. I think this is a very good question. Yeah. So, if you were asked, let's say there's two people, and then one has seen the thief. There's a thief, and then he saw the thief, and then there's another person who has not seen the thief. Okay. So the police came and then asked them, where did the thief, which direction thieves went? And then the person who's seen direct to the direction that the thief ran away, and the second guy also direct that side without knowing that thief has gone to that direction. So what is the difference between two people? Is there any difference, do you think?
So one can recognize the thief and one cannot recognize the thief?
Right. So, is it correct to direct someone blindly, and then maybe you hit the like you are got lucky? Is it okay?
So do you mean to say that unless we study, we will not recognize what we see when our conceptual mind calms down?
That's the point. You got it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so now we will do the dedication. 선음디 담제색 번이 또놈니 배도는 범진 제가 나좀 먹는 스비솔레도 도와쇼 잠발보 지다라 쳔바다 군도 상보대 안데 신데 다군지 지도나 여와데 다담제라도 전주 심조 좀 보지 마기 번음지 교환이 뭐 권의 권도 별로 벌었쇼. Thank you. Have a good night and sweet dream.
Thank you so much, Genla.
Thank you,
Sure.
Genla. That was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.